Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome back to the TMZ Podcast, everybody. Harvey Levin here.
Charlie Neff here. Courtney here.
And Fabian here.
So we are going to start with Britney Spears and talk about something just crazy that we found out that the principals in the conservatorship thought they could cure Britney with religion. It is crazy. We're also going to talk about developments with Brian Laundrie and the fact that there is just a divide now in the Laundrie family, and there are some suspicions around the parents now. Sarah Silverman came out with something that I really feel, which has to do with anti-Semitism in this culture.
And what she calls Jew face.
You're very passionate about that.
I am, what she calls Jew face. We're going to talk about Facebook, which, you know, I guess I have a very weird position on this, but I'm not down with what everybody's talking about with Facebook. I am not down with it. I want to talk about that.
All right.
And then also, you know, I think we should be talking about Dave Chappelle because he mentioned something. It's kind of along the lines of Sarah Silverman, but we should be talking about Dave Chappelle and what he's saying about LGBTQ jokes and what he means by what he said, and it's pretty controversial. Let's start with Britney.
Okay.
So here's what we found out, that the three principals we're talking about are Jamie Spears, obviously, Robin Greenhill, and Lou Taylor. The last two were part of TriStar Entertainment, which is the business management firm that Jamie hired to manage Britney's money.
Okay.
What we found out was that when Jamie was approached, or Jamie approached Lou Taylor, who was running TriStar, she was a big born-again Christian. Jamie had just gotten out of rehab and was a big born-again Christian. They agreed that it would be a great idea for Lou and Robin to come in and, with Jamie, use religion to cure Britney Spears of her mental illness.
Wow.
It's the strangest way ever.
So are we
I don't
talking
understand what their thought process was and
Conversion
why.
therapy, but like on the mental health, on the mental illness side?
They
Is
thought
that-
God could conquer the mental illness.
Oh, boy.
And also, there's even photos of Lou and her husband with Jamie when he became a born-again Christian and came out of the water during his baptism. I think it's baptism.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you can see like how close and tight-knit Lou was with her husband, with Jamie. So him coming in the picture with them, I mean, seems kind of like a family affair as well.
Well, they walked around with Bibles all the time. For the first year, they were walking around with Bibles.
Wow.
I am told by people who were directly connected to Britney that at a point she could only read religious material.
Wow.
And
like
scripture.
Jesus.
There was
Jesus.
enormous,
No pun intended.
enormous intolerance toward anybody who didn't seem to be a good Christian.
Quick question and maybe some background. The Britney Spears family, Jamie Spears, her mom, Lou Taylor, these are Southern folks, right? They're
Yes.
from Missouri or South
Louisiana.
Carolina.
Louisiana.
Okay, so even worse. They're like Southern bumpkins.
Well, it's not
even
worse.
worse.
It's
Oh
not
my
worse.
God.
I mean,
It's not worse.
I'm just saying, they're Southern
Lou
bumpkins.
is from Tennessee.
They're Southern bumpkins
Bible
either
Belt.
way. Yeah, they're Bible. That's exactly right. So they're Bible thumpers almost by default, maybe.
But Britney was never like that.
Right.
So it's weird
But
that
guess who else wasn't like that? Within a year, religion went out the window. That they weren't talking about that at all.
What?
That this became a money machine. And
Oh.
that what again, this is what I'm being told by people who were involved in this, that it was all about religion for the first year. The idea was sell religion, we can get Britney, and Jamie was on board because Jamie became this big born-again Christian. So he's like, oh my God, Lou Taylor's gonna save him, Robin's gonna save my daughter.
But that does work for some people. I mean, reading the Bible and
It
looking up to
doesn't
God
work for
isn't
mental
necessarily
illness.
a bad
That
thing.
doesn't actually
It's
cure
completely-
mental
We've seen this
illnesses.
happen with Justin Bieber, where he kind of went through a rough stage in his life and then turned to
But
God.
he doesn't have
and
mental
look at
He
illness.
doesn't.
Right.
She has
he-
like mental illness.
He
and
doesn't have the
can't-
mental illness that Britney had.
I can just imagine, and this is so sad to even hear that this is what was happening, because I can imagine them doing the whole tongues thing. I'm not sure that was happening, but like that, you see these in churches. People have their hand on the tongues, and I'm not going to even. I'm not going to reenact it because it's just so embarrassing.
I
but,
don't know. I don't know that happened, but I can tell you that Robin and Lou had a grip on Jamie a major grip on Jamie. And they ran this thing, and Jamie let them run this thing. And
And run amok, you mean, right?
Well, there were a lot of people who said it ran amok.
Wow.
A lot of people who were saying it ran amok. And this is all just coming out now because I think a lot of people were afraid to talk about this, but it's now
because they ran the show
Well-
and no one wants to lose their job by speaking out.
Well,
So
but
There
they
is-
were intimidating.
there is truth to that.
Going back
Yeah.
to what you were saying, though, about the money and how that kind of became the focus of whatever they were doing. They lost the religion. They focused on the money. I think what happens is that Britney Spears was a major pop star, and Lou and and Jamie and everybody else, they weren't used to this type of money. They were never used to this type of money. I don't think she ever had clients quite like Britney, right? She might have been her first major Hollywood client.
That's what I am told, that Lou Taylor had very little experience doing this. Jamie brought her on board, and she built her business around this because Lou Taylor has a lot of clients, by the way, including the Kardashians.
Right now?
Yeah. And and many clients. I mean, as of 2019, there was Tina Turner. There were so many people who were involved with Lou Taylor, and
Right.
she built her business off of this. But whatever's happening there, that's not the point. The point is that with Britney, it shocked me, but religion was the calling card.
But wait, I don't understand. So they stopped like the religion a year in because of money? Like, were they gonna do like a gospel album? I don't understand like how like it just stopped. Like,
No,
what was
no.
the money part?
Maybe they got sidetracked and distracted by the money.
It
And
was
that-
just-
that-
yeah.
I bet that
And
maybe
then what's, like-
they were just trying to keep her afloat and just keep the business running, keep her touring, keep her medicated, keep her
Pumping out
somewhat
the albums.
Yeah, keep her somewhat coherent enough to like because
The money,
She
hey
did The
guys,
Voice,
the money,
right?
the money was
X
the
Factor.
money was rolling in, and money became a big object for them all the way through. So religion, money.
So they stopped caring really about Britney's mental health and
Well,
wanted the money.
I'm not going to go that far, but I am going to say that they were all about religion for the first year or so. And when the money started rolling in, there was a lot of talk about, I deserve this, you deserve that. And we're going to get into that later.
That
But
is a nightmare.
I know. Let's get into Dave Chappelle because I find this really interesting. So you have a take on this.
I do. So we should just kind of set the scene on what happened. So Dave Chappelle has a new Netflix special out. I think it might be his last one for a while.
Yeah, the sixth one.
Right. And he opens up the show talking about DaBaby and his Rolling Loud controversy where he made some abhorrent comments about the LGBT community.
A lot of the LGBTQ community doesn't know DaBaby's history. He's a wild guy. He once shot a Oh, this is true. Google it. DaBaby shot and killed a in Walmart in North Carolina. Nothing bad happened to his career. In our country, you can shoot and kill a but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings.
Chappelle defends DaBaby and basically says, look, DaBaby literally killed somebody, and not even that ruined or torpedoed his career quite like his comments about the LGBT
I don't think that he was
community.
defending him. I don't think he was
I
defending
don't think
him
it was
at
a
all.
defense
He was
either.
making the comparison, basically saying this. He's basically saying the cardinal sin of modern day society is offending gay people, offending people in the LGBT community. And he seems to think that that's out of whack. That's what Dave Chappelle is saying. And he has a history of making jokes and cracks at gay people. In another special of his, he referred to them as the alphabet people, saying the same things. Like
It's Dave Chappelle. He makes jokes about every single person, but I don't think that was his
but
takeaway
lately
in this.
he's been on a gay kick lately. And I don't mean that he's
But
been
I
on a
don't
gay
know-
joke kick
But
lately.
I don't understand. What's his point about offending gay people?
His point is he seems to think, rightly or wrongly, that gay people these days run the table as far as being able to cancel somebody. As far as all the things that you can get offended and canceled over in today's society, gay people and offending gay people are right there at the top. And he seems to think that's ass backwards. That's
I
kind
don't
of
think that's what he's saying
I
at
don't-
all. He's saying, what do you expect from someone that killed somebody earlier?
But he didn't murder somebody because he wasn't charged and it was considered self-defense.
He literally said, he's like, you can kill somebody, but don't you dare hurt a gay person's feelings.
I saw it
Yeah.
as like he was saying that people don't care if you kill a black person, because that's what he was saying, that he shot a black person in Walmart and no one cared.
he is comparing
And
race and these are two minorities that have suffered, and he's kind of comparing the suffering, and then you get into a pissing contest over that. But he's basically saying it seems that like gay people being offended and their hurt is greater or held in higher regard than black people in race. I think he's making that comparison.
I don't know, because
that's an
then
ongoing
later
thing
in the
that I sense
stand-up-
with him.
The mobilization of the country after George Floyd, and he's still saying this.
You know,
I don't
But this
think so,
incident
because
happened
later-
in 2018,
Yeah.
right?
No,
And
but
later in the stand-up,
the
though-
special was
it was recent.
yeah, today.
So I think Dave Chappelle has something where he's trying to point to his audience, like, hey, why is it that when a gay person is offended or something, it becomes the top headline of the world, and everything else kind of falls to the wayside as far as
So
like
then why do you think
suffering.
he made the comment later in the stand-up when he was saying the older gays are much more stronger, like the Stonewall gays are not as the same as the new gays now?
Because I think he's somewhere down there. He's an ally somewhere. I think Dave Chappelle is an ally somewhere. I don't think he actually hates gay people. I'm not saying that.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does at all.
I don't think he feels that way by any stretch of the imagination. But there's some kind of cultural phenomenon lately that he's seeing.
Yeah, you look at Morgan Wallen and look at what happened there.
Exactly. He said
Right.
and look at him. He's back. His music is doing great.
But he wasn't back for a while. He wasn't back for a
I
while.
don't know, Harvey.
They
His
complete-
songs were like off the
But
charts
you guys
no,
for
can
a
his,
remember
minute.
that
his
the
fans were,
Billboard
but they weren't playing him in the
He
radio.
wasn't
They took
really
him
in
off
the-
tours, but
he came off tour then, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so he
And
came off
they
tour.
completely cut him out of the Billboard Awards. He wasn't like even seen when he won the
Now
awards.
his fan base didn't.
Stayed.
His fan base didn't
His
leave
fan
him.
base was
but,
still there.
but he lost a lot. And
It's
well,
the same with DaBaby. DaBaby lost his fan base, but DaBaby kept his fan base, but he lost like all the other festivals.
You know
and
the
other
weird thing
concerts.
is. You know
Yeah.
the weird thing is too. It's like there are certain words you could never use referring to a race or a culture or whatever else.
Right.
The homophobic F word continues to be used a lot these days.
Also by Dave Chappelle too. He
I-
jokingly says it, but he does say it.
No, I get it, but people are using that word, which is really offensive.
Mhm.
And you know, if gay people had that kind of power, how is that word being used all the time still?
It's a good question. Only
I-
only Dave Chappelle can answer it, but I think there's really only one way to interpret it, at least for me. Like that's how I interpret it. He sees some kind of dynamic. I don't like the idea that he's comparing suffering. Like, why are you comparing suffering? Like, your suffering's in higher regard than my suffering. Like, dude, like this is not a pissing contest. Like, what can we all do? We can all
Get along.
We can all get up together. We can all anyway, so
Get up together.
Or
I don't even
we
know
can
what
all
that means.
we can all overcome together is what I'm sort of that's what I
a little
mean.
better.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, we got to move on to Brian Laundrie. This, I got to tell you, everybody has wondered. Just get real for a second. Everybody is wondering if the parents helped him.
of course.
They did.
And you know, how did they not help him when they don't call the police for 2 days after he's missing in what they say is an alligator-infested, snake-infested, swampy area?
Just
They
their
don't call the
emotion and their demeanor alone of how they've been just shows you that they know he's okay.
I mean, if you have a kid and that kid is missing in a swamp with alligators and he's a wanted person and you
Right.
know all of this,
You're out there as a parent.
And
You're
not
out
just
there
out there.
searching for him, crying.
Yeah.
You're
They're
not
not
in there
emotionally
board,
upset.
anything.
They
and they're
are
just
stoic.
cruising.
They are, and we should also point out. So Brian Laundrie's sister was on GMA. She did an interview, and basically, it's clear that the family is fractured right now. Like she's saying, "Look, I don't know what involvement, if any, my parents might have. I have no involvement." She says that she joined them for this camping trip. So he got back from wherever he was in Florida again. Him and his parents go on some camping trip. Weirdly, I don't know why they would did that. She dropped
Right?
in with her kids. She said nothing was amiss. Everything was normal.
I mean, if
She
you look
said
at the
nothing
photos,
got brought up of Gabby, which I do not
which is
believe.
I
If
can't
your
believe
fiance-
GMA. I cannot believe GMA did not broadcast or ask this question. Like, you did not ask Brian about Gabby while you were on this camping trip. Like, hey, where's
Right.
Gabby? How's Gabby? Did no one bring that up? Like, he came back without Gabby and no one thought to ask about
and
her.
also, if you look at the
I don't believe
photos
the
of
sister in
him
that.
on the camping trip, he is so happy. He's
Smiling,
hanging out with her kids.
with
And this
pictures.
guy just allegedly killed somebody.
Right.
His fiance.
Right.
But what do
It's
you
insane.
expect him to look like?
well,
Distraught, not there on a
he
camping
left-
trip.
He just murdered his
Distra-
girlfriend.
I know,
Like, he's
distract.
not
How
obviously-
about distracted?
Yeah.
No, he's-
How about like a
he's
little
that-
distracted?
No, I think he had a game plan. It was like, I need these photos
Unless he's
so no
Christian
one asks
Bale from
questions.
American Psycho, like unless he's that sociopathic, then you would see some kind of sign of like distress or something. But I just can't believe, even with the sister, she's saying, "Look, I don't know what happened, but how could you not sense something was amiss?" The obvious question is, where's Gabby?
Right, they
Where
just went
is
on
Gabby
this
Petito?
road trip together.
Right, and then he comes back
with the
He comes
van.
back. He's like, "Let's go camping." I was like, "Weren't you just out camping with Gabby like a second ago? Like, what are you doing?"
You have a fiance. You got in a van,
You go across the country.
and by the way, he flew back to get supplies. Now we
Right,
find
I
out.
just
in
heard that
storage.
too. It's just so bizarre.
So he flies back. Who flies back to get supplies as
Because
opposed
you're running out of money. It's like, why
Well,
would you
but-
spend the plane?
Western Union, something. I mean, PayPal,
And he
something.
came back by himself, did he not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He literally flew back by himself and then flew back to go meet up with her again.
Makes
and then
no sense.
And then
just-
he also made charges on her credit card too when
Yeah.
she had already passed away. So and it was over $1,000. So at that point, you're thinking, well, what is he getting for over $1,000 right after this?
And the last thing to note about Brian is that supposedly he is a survivalist. That's what Dog the Bounty Hunter said based on his
Right.
social media. Survivalist to me means that you know how to survive in the wild. So this guy is probably definitely alive out there. And depending on how good of a survivalist he is, he's probably doing just fine, just hiding out in some bush somewhere.
Look, I got to say something, and I'm not out there. And one of the things I learned as a reporter was the people in the field know more than anybody in an office.
Sure.
So that said, I still have this strong instinct. Why would he be hanging around in a swamp if he is a wanted man? What is his end
No,
game?
he's out of state at this point.
I
for
think
sure.
I think he's been long out of state.
Yeah, at
long,
least.
long
If not
out of
the
state.
country.
In a wig.
Well,
I'm
and that's
serious.
why they didn't tell the cops right away, the parents. You got to give him time to get away.
Right.
Right.
Like,
And he had to jump.
exactly.
So
A
that's
head
why
start.
I know Dog thinks that he's in the Everglades. I think he hasn't been in
Appalachian Mountains.
the Appalachians. I don't think he's been in the Appalachians in weeks.
Yeah.
I mean,
If anything, he's probably in LA at this
I
point.
think the
But
first thing he did was escape. Why would he stay?
Because he's familiar with that area. He's
But
camped there
How
many
long is he going
times.
to stay? For 5 years,
But
10 years?
he might know of a secret cave
He
that
might,
he would
And he's
go
going to
to.
live in a
That's a good
secret
point.
cave for the rest of his life.
Maybe to
No,
him.
he's going to
Until
go
his
to
hair
another.
grows out.
If you
And tell
listen,
his parents,
I-
bring him more supplies.
Charlie, I hate to say this, but here's the hypothetical. You just committed a murder and you have a choice of where to go. Do you want to hide in the forest or do you want to go to another country and change your identity?
I want to go somewhere where I know that territory. I know the people there. I know the animals there. I know
It's a good point.
that area.
Yeah, it's a good
So you're
point.
going to live with you're going to be Tarzan for the rest of your
I
life.
feel like you open yourself
I'm
up
serious.
to people
This is
seeing
crazy.
you.
This
If you're
is-
trying to get on a boat and go to Jamaica or
This-
something,
right.
you open yourself up to being exposed and people getting photos of you. I mean,
People
how many
do this-
photos have we gotten of alleged sightings of
Yeah.
him?
Charlie, have you ever watched Dateline?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Too
mean,
many times.
people leave the country, they change their identity, they change their look, and they try to get away with it for as long as they can.
Right.
I mean, it's 101 murder.
I mean, could be a cold case.
The whole situation's weird. The
family's
I don't
weird,
believe
the
anything that they're
situation's weird.
saying.
Yeah.
Very
Very
it's-
much so.
Okay, Sarah Silverman,
Yep.
explain this to me.
There's this long tradition of non-Jews playing Jews, and not just playing people who happen to be Jewish, but people whose Jewishness is their whole being. A Gentile playing Joan Rivers correctly would be doing what is actually called Jew face. I mean, what do you hear all the time? Jews run Hollywood. Jews are rich. Jews are powerful. Perpetuated anti-Semitic tropes that renders people very righteously unsympathetic towards Jews. And I wish they would realize that that is by design.
She is so right.
I
She-
couldn't agree with
okay,
this at
okay,
all.
hold on. As a Jew, I will say that growing up, and I remember this because I'm old, but I remember this where, Hitler, the Jews have all the money. The Jews are the bankers.
Right.
And he created this hatred toward them because everybody thought, oh, the Jews are all rich. It's the same principle. The Jews run Hollywood.
by the way,
if
these-
anybody
these
knows
very-
Hollywood these days, it is very diverse at the top. It is very diverse.
Now.
But the point is, Jews don't run everything. It's like,
They did in the beginning.
You
They-
say that. When there were two studios, there were
Two
Jews.
studios. No, actually, the first half of the 20th century, Jewish people were credited for really starting the industry. Metro Goldwyn Mayer, 20th Century Fox,
Right.
Columbia Pictures, Paramount Pictures, Universal Pictures,
And then
Warner
it- and then
Brothers,
it
all started and led by Jewish
And-
people.
and it's- and
There's
that's
nothing
true.
wrong with that.
Yes,
Those
there
are
is.
straight facts.
No,
That's
but-
great that
but-
they were all mostly immigrants or children of immigrants that came in and started something great. This is an honor. I mean, it's incredible that they did this.
It's
We
not.
shouldn't
It's not.
discourage this.
It is not talked about as an honor. It is talked about as, why do Jews have all this power?
Right.
And that is what people are doing now. And especially with anti-Semitism is embraced now in Congress.
Right.
I mean, it is embraced in Congress where they can talk about fucking Jews, essentially, is what
Right.
they're talking about. And there's video of it, and nothing happens.
So-
But if she were-
there is rampant anti-Semitism. And what she's saying is that when you start these tropes, when you start to go, oh, the Jews have all the money, the Jews have all the power, what does that mean?
No.
Why
So,
do people say that?
But there are tons of Jewish actors.
Why do people say that?
Because people say a lot of stuff. People
No,
are
no, no.
stupid.
No,
I mean,
no,
there's
no. There's a
stereotypes
reason.
for every
There is a reason
I
that's
just
said.
have a question. So, what is Sarah trying to connect her? Because what you're mentioning, these anti-Semitic tropes and stereotypes, they stand alone. They've been going on for millennia,
Yep.
literally millennia.
Yep.
Right.
So, I'm just trying to connect the dots.
I'll connect them for you.
She's saying
I can connect them for you.
Because, like, on the one hand, she's talking about
No.
accurate representation, and then
You're right.
These stereotypes and tropes, we're well aware of them, and they should be disavowed.
Well, no, but
You know what I mean? But-
here's the point. That has been going on for decades and
Right.
decades and decades. What's different
So how
is
does it apply to this?
because
Right.
what's different is now all of a sudden people are talking about accurate representations.
Right.
That black people should play black people.
Yes.
That Latinos play Latinos. Gay
Right.
play. Well,
African American black people should play
okay,
African
but
American
now,
historical
right.
figures.
but so now the question is, do you now include Jews in that as well, or do you create caricatures of Jews? And what
Right.
she's saying is Jew face is caricature.
Right.
And she's saying that you get these people and they put prosthetic noses on them and all.
the accent and the Yiddish and everything.
Yeah, it's Long Island and
Right,
and it's
right.
all
So-
there is a level of anti-Semitism in that.
100%.
So then what do you feel about like the Seinfeld show? Because that's all what Jerry was. His parents had like big noses that they put on.
But
He
I
made
think
all
those
like,
They were
actors
racist
were actually
Jewish.
comments.
They were
So
Jewish.
at
actors
the
were
point, so
Jewish.
as long as you're Jewish, you can play and you can have
Here.
those jokes. Is that is that okay?
It makes a difference.
It does?
Just the way it does.
Okay.
Just the way it does. Where in black comedies they
Right.
can make fun of
So
themselves.
then when can an actor just play a role?
It's
Right,
I
you
actually
can't-
have a
you
theory.
can't
I have
pigeonhole
a theory
actors.
on this. I have a theory
Because
on
then
this.
like, do pedophiles only play the pedophiles?
No,
like
I
murderers?
think-
What's the line?
Look, I think what Sarah's pointing out and maybe just reminding people of, because her whole, if you watch her whole segment, it's a little like she's on one foot in, one foot out on the subject. I don't really know how she actually feels, but I think she's just reminding people Jewish people are a minority. They're a minority, an ethnic minority even perhaps. Because like, you can speak to this more than I can, but
No,
Jewishness is
they're a minority.
it's a cultural thing. It's a religious thing. It's potentially even an ethnic thing. And she's saying, and I think to answer your question of like when can what types of roles should they be played by the actual people who represent that? It's when it comes to ethnicity, when it comes to race. I don't know about like with orientation, with sexual orientation. I think it's fine for a
That's
straight
been
guy.
an argument as well.
I know, but like
And even
For
body
me-
size.
Right.
Even body size
I
has
know,
been.
but like,
I know,
Sarah
but
Paulson.
at that point, it gets
it's gotten
ridiculous.
crazy that Sarah Paulson's being criticized because she was cast in a role for Linda Tripp, and Linda Tripp's a lot bigger than
Can
her.
we
Right.
agree
I mean,
that
and
at
she was
least
wearing a
race and
fat suit.
ethnicity and perhaps culture even those three should at least be honored? Should those three
It's
be
either
honored?
all or nothing.
Yeah,
Really?
but then
Is
do you
it?
know
The
those-
Is it all or
standard
nothing?
for thespians has always been you can be any role, that your body is a vessel. You can take on any role, any ethnicity,
Sure.
usually. I mean, well, technically a white person probably couldn't play Harriet Tubman,
just-
but they had a British black woman play
But she
Harriet
was still,
Tubman,
but she
and
was
that
still,
was
but
a
she
big
was
issue
still
as well.
of African descent. So there was still some actual authenticity there, right? I think for me,
I guess the question is, are we going down a road where they're not actors anymore? They're just basically doing cameos
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of who they are. It's like actors are supposed to. I mean, Meryl Streep is not Jewish,
right, and she's played a Jewish
and
person.
she was amazing in Sophie's Choice.
But was that movie about a Jewish woman? Was the fact that she was
Yes.
Jewish prominent in the storyline? Because that's my
It
thing.
was
If
about the
if-
Nazis.
What is it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I haven't seen the movie. I
Yes.
have not seen the movie. I'll admit. I
You
apologize.
haven't seen Sophie's Choice?
Oh,
No, I have
jeez,
not seen
Fabian.
Sophie's Choice.
Oh
I
my
know. I
God.
can't even
Oh
comment
my
on these
God.
things. But
Neither have I.
But I mean, look, I think you can have an argument about does any of this make any sense?
Right.
But if it does make sense, why are you carving out Jews as an exception? That's, I think, Sarah's point.
right.
Okay, Facebook.
Oh, boy.
God.
So Facebook was not working yesterday. In case
And
anybody didn't know.
Instagram
and
And
WhatsApp.
and
that was
WhatsApp.
not. It was not a conspiracy. Come on.
Just in case you didn't know, those were down yesterday. That was a big deal.
Yeah, but it's
And
not. It's not linked. Come on. Let's talk about
Not at all.
Let's talk about the whistleblower.
So
Everyone loves her.
former employee worked on the back end of things.
And took thousands of pages of documents out.
Yeah.
I get it. So here's my thing about this, that everybody is just enraged at Mark Zuckerberg saying, how dare you? You're creating this culture where profits are everything and you don't care about the consequences of it. I mean, this is being talked about by a media that has become so tribal that, you watch one cable network and then you watch a second cable network, and you have completely different views of the world because they are pushing agendas. They're slamming people,
Right.
getting people angry at half the country. Every cable station now is trying to declare essentially war on the other half of the country.
This is what's being alleged.
And so my point is they're doing this because that seems to be the way you get viewers. So
Right.
screw the fact that they say, oh, we want unity in the country. What happened to unity? You're responsible for the lack of unity by the way you present the news. And now all of a sudden it's only about Facebook. And it's just it's hypocritical.
Let me
I've
clarify
never
what.
agreed with you, so like I don't even know what to say because I'm so like thrown off.
So let me clarify what is being alleged against Facebook. They're saying what Facebook is doing is they are filtering certain stories.
Yeah.
They're filtering certain stories.
Negative stories.
Negative stories or whatever narrative they're trying to push that day, whatever it may be. That's what this woman is saying, that Facebook filters the information you're seeing. So you're seeing it skewed already. And like Facebook philosophically and all these social media platforms, they should be neutral, like just an even playing field. Here's all the stories. You decide what you want to read or whatever. So that's what she's saying. That's not what's happening.
Don't they even do that with sponsored ads, though? Isn't that like a thing? They target certain things to you that they know you
and even Twitter does it too. Twitter, if anything, needs to be in the spotlight more than Facebook. Twitter is such a toxic hellscape for our political climate. And yes, you're right. Cable news, you can expect.
By the way,
there.
let me ask you a question about cable news. If you guys watch it, have you seen a positive story lately in the news?
I don't watch it.
Pardon,
I mean, the reason
it's true.
the reason that negative stories are what is presented in the news
that's
is
been,
what sells.
That's
and it's been the case forever.
Forever since news has been around.
What's the difference?
The difference is now is that politics is more what the old quote was like, what bleeds leads kind of thing, right? Now it's like whatever's political leads. Trump leads. Like, you know what I mean? That's the difference.
But it's the negative. People are drawn to the negative. They just
But we like a good feel-good story every now and then.
Really?
Not anymore.
Charlie, watch the news.
I love all the animal
read
rescue
the news.
videos.
Watch
I
the
missed
news.
the 2000s. I missed
Also,
the 2000s.
people don't like to see other
Days.
people's success. That's why everyone comes for like Jeff Bezos and like Mark Zuckerberg. Once you hit like a certain success, you're just a target for hate. That's just what it comes down to.
You know what happens? Mark Zuckerberg starts out, and all of a sudden he becomes this kind of interesting guy. People are looking at him as a curiosity. Once you become too rich, like a Jeff Bezos, like a Mark Zuckerberg, then they hate you.
Yeah.
One last question for this. Do you think Facebook, Twitter, any of these social media companies should actually be regulated by the government? Because the idea of that is...
What are you talking about?
Does that violate freedom of speech?
It does seem to violate... It seems like an overreach of government power
but
to me. People are calling for that,
that's
though, right
I know,
now.
but
that's
at some
gonna
point,
happen.
you have to be a responsible adult.
You have to be a responsible user. I 100%
it's
going to
Totally.
happen.
You think so?
I know so.
No way.
You watch.
This is becoming 1984
No, you watch
so fast.
Yeah, no,
this
you watch.
whole world is
You watch
crazy.
the hearing on Tuesday. You watch that hearing, and it's bipartisan. It's the only time I can remember where there's been bipartisan support of anything.
Congress wants to get its claws into Facebook.
It
does.
Absolutely.
You knew what 1984 was, but not Sophie's Choice? You're an embarrassment.
Can I tell you something? I respect that.
Really?
Yeah. I like that he knew 1984.
I need to watch Sophie's Choice this week.
And you do.
That's on my homework list.
Hey, I got to tell you, if you want to follow us, you can find the TMZ podcast on Apple and Spotify and Google, anywhere you get your podcasts. And we do this 3 times a week, every week, for the rest of our lives.
And
Mine less time than yours.
I think before we leave, though,
I got
there is-
one
We got a
last
surprise.
topic for you guys.
Lay it on me.
Probably the biggest story of the week and the most exciting story of the week.
I get goosebumps.
Adele teased new music. This is huge, you guys. She hasn't come out with a song for 6 years, and she came out with a video today teasing her new song "Easy on Me," which sounds like a heartbreak ballad. They play the piano.
Right.
Sounds like
She's
something
driving.
emotional.
There's like papers flying off of her car.
Yeah, but
she's
she does
doing-
it just
she's
right
doing
because you're
this.
about to belt, and then she just hits that piano, and then the tease is gone.
Just
And
stops.
it's just like, no,
And by
I was
the way,
about to feel it.
Adele is hot now. By the way,
Adele was always hot.
I'm just
Oh
saying,
my
she's
God.
conventionally, she's conventionally hot.
I'm leaving.
And I just know
want to
the hotness
destroy
will
you
bring
right now.
the hotness will bring better music
You mean the breakup, the divorce that she had is going to
and the
really
body
add
transformation
to this?
because that's a real thing.
You're
gonna
an
be great.
awful,
Anyway.
awful person.
But wait a minute.
Super excited.
I do have a question about that.
Oh no,
You can't compliment somebody on that?
no,
Not anymore.
not if you're a guy.
That's
Not
messed,
if you're a guy.
That's messed up.
Nope.
Why can't I just
You
say she
can't
looks
say
attractive?
she's hot now.
Yeah.
though.
well,
That's
okay,
kinda,
Fabian, the word now probably
All right.
a bad word.
Adele's just hot.
By the way, and also I found out today there's a bidding war. She's going to go to Vegas for residency, and there's a bidding war right now. They're negotiating it right now. A bunch of hotels want
She's
her.
already in the
Everyone
residency
wanted.
phase of her career.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, but it's different.
Vegas
it's
is kind of different
Vegas
now.
is
It's not a
different.
place to die
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Now young
Oh,
artists are
Christina
there.
World's gonna get her.
Okay.
Okay, guys, we will see you Friday.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.